All right, welcome to session 2 of D&D in the world of Terra. I am Architect, or Jason, your humble DM. With me, as always, are Bobby playing Grim.
Hiya.
Lex playing Shae.
Hi all.
And Adam playing Phen.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
So previously on D&D.
So you remember, we wake up and we're like in this jail cell, and there's a really smelly dude, and there's a chick, she got really pretty eyes, by the way, just gotta let you know that. And there's a really smelly dude, and there's a big tall guy who's got dark hair, and then another guy, and he's like, I'm the greatest thief in the world. I'm like, you can't be that good, you got arrested, blah, 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 whatever. So we're standing there trying to figure out a way to get out, and then this dude comes in, and he hands the guy in the other cell the ring and forces him to put it on, like yelling, I'm going to kill you if you don't. And didn't really say that, but he puts it on, turns to dust, and then comes over to us and is like, hey, I'm going to let you out of jail, but I got to have you do something for me. And that thing is like, I got to get you to this box. You got to go get this box. I got to know what it is. What's in the box? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea, but let's go get the fucking box. I want to see what's in this. So we go to town. I go try to find us a boat. It doesn't work. So we try to we decide not to steal the box. We run the fuck away. And as we're leaving town, the bad guy's head guard sees us and he's like, I'm gonna fucking murder you all, and starts chasing us down. So we have this chase in and we kill the horses and the guy falls down, and dude, now he's really mad because one, we killed his horse and we showed him what's up. But yeah, it's a problem.
And that's what happened last time on D&D in the world of Terra. So if you used
that was just as good.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Just for the record, that was us forcing Adam to do that twice in a row because the recording did not pick up the call properly. And so that was his second run-through with just as much energy. If you used inspiration last time, Adam, then you will have a fresh one.
Yeah, I think I did use some inspiration last time to save somebody's life.
I don't remember using mine. Does that mean I still have it?
You should write it down on your sheet and then erase it when you use it, so that way you know.
Well, the problem is it's a new sheet. Because we are level 3.
Oh, no.
But it has its own very nice special inspiration tick box.
Yeah, they made an entire space for it. Chris
it is
Perkins
unfortunately
insisted.
Unticked.
How could you?
I know. It was my bad, obviously.
And now I feel bad.
This is an A-B+ effort at best so far on my part.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how it goes.
Well, I think I am still unconscious.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I should stop fussing with this. I'm just trying to freaking Photoshop a little map.
Let it go.
Fast, but
let it go.
It's not important. Okay.
Or did we make our destination and did we sleep a night so that now I'm healed up and okay?
I think we made camp. We got far enough away and made camp.
I mean, you guys are welcome to keep guessing, or I can just go ahead and start the game. Grim?
I'd say go ahead and start the game.
You choke yourself awake. You don't know how long you've been asleep. The air is thick with heat and smoke, and your eyes hurt, and you can't see well what's happening. Some gray shape flits past you. Something massive. But no, it couldn't be anything that big. Your eyes are playing tricks on you. You choke again. Your arm hurts. You're not sure why. There's a burning sensation. You're having trouble breathing, and then you realize that there's a log or something. There's something on your chest, and you move it, and it's this wooden beam that's cracked and broken, and everything is weird, and there's lights flashing, and everything kind of comes as you stand up and stumble to your feet. Everything starts to come into a little bit of focus. You're in. It's not your room. This isn't where you were a minute ago. This isn't what you remember. And suddenly flames are licking up around you and all this debris. And there's fallen parts of fallen roof around you. You look down, and near your feet you see a massive pile of rubble and heavy wooden beams, and underneath, just poking out, is a small hand. And you look down, and your hands are small too, and these hands are about the same size, meaning that it's a child probably about your age. And you stumble to your feet. Your nightgown or your little cloth pants and whatnot, that your pajama set basically is torn and covered in soot, and there's blood, and your arm is leaking down to your fingers, and you clutch at it, and you begin to walk away, and suddenly hands on you. They didn't come from behind, but suddenly something's in front of you, this great gray shape, and you realize that you're seeing other gray shapes moving, and you can't see past this bright glow of flame and these shadows and this smoke and the soot, and this form shakes you hard, and there's yelling, and you can't parse what's happening. You can't appreciate or comprehend you're being yelled at, but you don't know why. And then the figure leans in close, and you see this wrinkled old face, familiar to you, seen every day, and there's nothing but hatred and anger. And as the flames illuminate this terrible snarl, you feel the flesh on him and you start to just slough away. And suddenly, just one more jarring hit, and you startle awake, and you're in the back of a cart. And as everything starts to come back to you, you realize that this is the cart bumbling through the woods, and you must have hit a tree root or something and jostled a bit.
Fucking nightmare.
You're having trouble catching your breath, and you actually smell smoke. Shae, you wake up after a little bit, and you're pretty okay.
Woo. Are we alive? Did we make it?
It has
What
been
happened?
about 4 hours since your fight.
Oh, 4 hours.
You wake up, you are both very, very sore and very tired.
So if it's only been 4 hours, how many hit points do I have? Or does that matter?
You have 1 when you wake up from unconsciousness, I think.
1.
It's either 0 or 1.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
And then
So 1 HP and a dream.
and 1 level of exhaustion.
Oh man.
I'm going to start charging for this kind of stuff. That's
That
gonna be
means disadvantages, right?
yeah, but I can't remember exactly on what. So I'm not sure if it's everything.
I will look it up while
Please.
you continue with the story.
Please do. But before that, perhaps at the end of last session, Adam suggested that Phen would perhaps be interested in doing some things while the others are unconscious, which sounds worse when I say it out loud.
Well, I am a man of a god.
So Phen, while everybody's passed out, will end it up on top of the cart with Xander.
Indeed.
And so while they're going for the next 4 hours, I'm getting to know Xander. How you doing? What's your favorite color? Like
long carriage rides in the woods.
Yeah.
What's your sign?
Looking to get to know Xander. Because, yeah, reasons.
He tells you that he's from Baytown, and he's really just interested in getting back there now. But he does express, kind of in a moment of what seems to you, at least for now, uncharacteristic, like, realness, his appreciation of sticking with him and helping him out and all that. And he tells you that you will be welcome to stay in Baytown. He'll put you up and find lodging for you guys for as long as you want to be there. He'll help you out and help you get on your feet, or if you want to get moving on from there, he'll give you some aid in that regard. It's at this time that he kind of turns the cart off the road. There's enough of a swell of land that's not like a ditch on the side and not immediate trees and roots that he's able to turn into the woods a little bit. He tells you he thinks you guys should go for a couple hours, but in order to get through the Briarwood, he'll need to you guys will need to look at the cart and try to repair some of the damage, because the terrain will be difficult going, and he doesn't want to break down when the cart is needed. So the first stop will be fairly soon, and then you can set up camp.
Does anybody know how to fix a cart?
Unknown to you, and you are unconscious.
Oh, damn it. I thought I woke up.
Yeah, then we backtracked.
Oh,
I'm going in and out, man. We're
missed the backtrack completely while I was staring at my dice.
This is our recap episode, don't forget. So we did our first real episode, so our second episode is, of course, the one where we or our clip show. Just like the Clerk's cartoon. So he turns into the Briarwood. And here you see that the woods are not terribly heavy. You've heard that the Briarwood is pretty dense and deep and hard to cross. It's actually why part of the main reason why Dernhost couldn't just invade their room straight through, and why now Baytown is such a major point of trade. Baytown is essentially Altaran ships can come to trade in Baytown with Dernhost ships and caravans, because basically both countries have to go through this town to continue trade routes all around. And the reason to the south for that is the Briarwood, which is too thick and dangerous at the border to be crossed. Xander has in mind to delve a little bit into it in an attempt to avoid the main roads. He does give warning that there is a chance of danger, however. But for now, it's mostly just, kind of standard trees, lots of gnarled oak. The ground is pretty well clear of winter dried leaves and whatnot, so it's all becoming fresh growth. Essentially, it's the equivalent of April at the moment. So he's taking the carriage along. Unless you have more that you want to do in a couple hours, he'll stop and you guys can set up camp with a small fire and whatnot.
No, I just kind of wanted to get a feel for his personality and who he was, so trying to figure out if we can trust him.
You should roll insight and see if you can determine his alignment. Lawful evil. No. You can if you want to try to use your skill set to get kind of a feel for him. I mean, without replaying every part of conversation, you can maybe just see.
So natural roll, well, probably a passive roll, right? So
no, just you can roll insight.
13.
You think he's being genuine. You don't really necessarily know why he was in town or anything, or in Brune or anything like that, but you think he genuinely wants to get back to Baytown, is genuinely thankful for the help that you've given, and not just being like, oh, fuck it, we're out, when things got tight. You imagine that with what you experienced previously, perhaps there is a little bit more to him than just some, country peasant and whatnot, but...
Okay. Cool.
Alright, you set up camp. There's just enough rations to kind of make a meal with a small fire, and the other 2 members of your party start to rouse, sore and tired.
Fire.
Fire. Yes. Fire. Heat's our food. Go back to sleep.
No, sleep is troubled.
Why? Did you have a bad dream? I have bad dreams all the time.
You too?
Well, yeah, but usually only when I've had way too much to drink. But I mean, I guess you did get your ass kicked, so that might be why. Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. I'll equate it to a hangover, sure.
There was some fire was the last thing I remember, and then dreams about fire. I have dreams like this a lot, but
dude, that's a problem.
I could have used about 4 hours more of sleep, I think.
Phen's gonna pat him on the head. Go back to sleep. You're fine. I will protect you.
What's cooking?
I'm good with that. I'll go right to sleep. Oh, Shae's awake. Hey, Shae, how you feeling?
Considering what I remember happening, I'm doing okay. I'm a bit hungry, though.
I got rations.
Awesome. What kind of rations?
Shitty ones.
Oh.
That's what I got.
Well,
I have faith in Valrie, and I don't have a lot of hocus pocus going on right now. But if you want, I could make you feel a little better for a while, if you will permit me, Shae.
of course. Why wouldn't I, trust the Cleric playing awesome music?
Who's playing that? That's the best ever.
That took me a little bit longer than it should have for the one-touch button. I replaced the button for, contacts on my phone with that.
Nice. That's awesome. So I'm gonna rest a hand on Shae's shoulder and call upon the power of Valrie to heal her servant in this time of need.
If it helps you out at all,
level.
you can also use hit dice. You are resting.
Well, cool, but I'm going to do this anyway.
Okay.
Because I already started. I said the prayer, and I touched her, and now if I don't heal her, it's just going to be creepy and
Peace
weird.
be with... Oh, we don't have to do this.
Yeah, no, so this is
a
actually...
clerical blue ball.
Light just comes at your eyes. Ah!
Oh my.
Get it off, get it off!
That's for 10 HP.
Oh, thanks. It actually does make me feel a lot better.
I should update my little sheet for
might.
you guys. I'm gonna update my little list of you guys when we get to our first break.
And while we're resting, I'm going to go ahead and use... I'm thinking all 3 of my hit dice.
Sure, of course. You can roll them one at a time. Add your con to each of them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to need all of them anyway. We'll see.
I'll have some of that rations now, though.
Yep.
We're adventuring now. Just like in the books.
How exciting.
Yeah.
You're level 3 and you've never been on an adventure.
No, actually, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, Shae, there are so many cool places you need to see. I've been around the block a couple of times. I'm honestly not sure where I've been. It's been a lot of places. I've spent a lot of time on boats, but there are so many cool things out there, and just chase chase the sun, man. It's awesome.
Well, that's one of the main reasons why, at least I like to think, one of the main reasons why I'm out here. I read about it, and now I'm living the dream. While sitting in the mud, eating bad rations.
Well, you'll figure it out. It's not that bad. It sucks when you have to fight stuff, because then you're all tired and sometimes you're hurting and you just can't enjoy the fire and the stars and all that jazz.
Yeah, but if for fighting, doesn't that mean we make a difference? We can be heroes.
be hero. I never wanted to be a hero. Do you want to be a hero?
Well, the books made it seem very noble.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I
if you
guess
can
there's
make,
good stories, but
I figure if you can make a difference, why not, right?
yeah. I mean, I'm all for making a difference, but I don't know.
I mean,
Feels
if
like
we
a lot of
don't,
work.
if we don't, well, we can. Aren't we any better than that thief in the prison? What's his name?
His name was Arondo.
Yeah.
Phen, you're a amazing small sailor and a charming little fellow, but I think you missed your calling. You could have been a bard with pipes like that.
What do you mean?
I enjoyed your singing. That was pretty good. You should maybe belt that out more often. I'm feeling better already.
Well, I'm glad. Why would I want to be a bard, though?
Well, nobody wants to be a bard.
Well, that's not true. I mean, there's some people out there who are like, I want to be a bard. Look at me stuck in this little box, and I'm never going to say a word. Phen is sitting in his head like, why should I be a bard? What do bards do? Could I be a bard? Could I do this? Does it sound like something I would do?
Side note, I've always wanted to play a bard whose instrument was air guitar. Have I told you guys that yet?
Yes.
That sounds awesome.
Oh, I know. I still really want to do it. If I die here, that's my next character.
All right, good to know. So the game will end if Bobby dies. All right.
See, again with the bard shaming, we're awful people.
Unless you guys want to do anything else, the night will
Long
slip
rest,
into
maybe?
longer night.
Yay!
So, in 4 hours, I will wake up Grim and put him on second watch.
Damn it.
And then I will instruct Grim to wake up Shae or Xander.
I'll wake
third
up
watch.
Xander. I don't know what
If
your
you're sleeping for
experience
4
is,
hours, you
but
don't need a third watch.
I guess that's true.
Yes.
I wasn't going to be the one to wake up Shae.
That's fair.
I'll wake up Xander all day long. Shae, though. Mm-mm. So does that mean I did not get a long rest?
No, keeping watch is fine.
Okay. So I did get a long rest?
Sure.
Okay. I just want to know what to erase and what not to erase.
I think.
Just remember, you only get half your hit die back.
No.
I think
Rounded
you,
up or down?
No, I think you round down. I don't know offhand, but I would guess you round down.
And our exhaustion is gone.
Yes, I believe so.
One level is disadvantage on ability checks.
I think unless you need 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, then you would get. But I mean, Xander's more than happy to say that he'll keep watch, let you two sleep with, and then Phen can take one watch and he'll take the other watch, and that'll solve all your problems.
Let's do that.
Okay.
I like it when all my problems are solved.
Right.
Sooner than you would like, the sun rises, and it's time to take the cart again. The first few hours of the day in the sunlight, Xander spends kind of fixing the wheel, making sure that everything looks good. There's a few tools in the cart, a few iron plates and things that are made to kind of splint wheels and all that. There's also some heavy rope, and he uses that to tie where part of the axle got a little bit warbly. And you move into day 2 of this adventure.
Day 2.
Let me get a D12 roll from Adam.
1.
Alrighty.
I like you already.
The 10th of Tracial passes without incident. The 11th of Tracial sees you guys fairly far away from the road. You've always, until now, you've felt like you could see where the woods get a little less dense, where you just would have to run or race the cart a little ways to get back to the road. Now the left and the right side of this trail that Xander seems to be following, which at times does not look like a trail at all, but he does keep you guys going west for the most part. But the left and the right look pretty much the same. And as night starts to creep in on you, you see that the briars of the Briarwood are starting to be a little bit visible. Thorn covered bushes become a little bit more regular. The calls of birds are no longer as constant and song-filled. It's more, the occasional sort of creepy cry, I guess. It's darker here because only the dappled light really gets through, and not all of it reaches the road. And kind of off into the woods more, you can see where the bigger thorn bushes, the almost like thorned roots of the Briarwood are reaching out like spindly octopus legs. If you've ever been to Disney and you've ridden or seen pictures of Splash Mountain with the big fake, thorn bushes, that's what we're talking. We're talking like 6-inch diameter vines or roots covered with short, sharp spikes, essentially.
We can really say this forest is kind of untouched still by humans for the most part.
Deep inside it now, yeah. It has a. Give me a history check.
Okay. There's my history. Oh, okay. 18.
Oh, wow. It has a storied history. So you're aware of the Olarian Greatwood, or the Deepwood, as it's often referred to, which is basically the entire western half of Olaria, where the veil of the realm gives way to the fairy world, or to the spirit world, where the elves first emerged, and then where they retreated back to during the Age of Man, where the werewolves were sent to kill off the elves during the First Great War, the one that saw the gods fighting for their children, the one that kind of spawned the Age of Man, and saw the giants sent off, and kind of the Age of Dragons begin to dwindle. Or so the legends say. The Deepwood is mostly traversable, but the Briarwood is not. The Briarwood sprang up. Some say it was the magics of Spirit King Olaris, who would be kind of like your Oberon or your like Sealy Court from D&D and other lore. The good spirits, the good fairies. So Ultra Archfey is what we're talking here. Some say it was his magic in an attempt to protect the lands even after he left them behind, so that he planted a single thorn bush that grows at the heart of the thornwood, or at the heart of the deepwood, and then springs the briarwood west. And the reason for that is, or as so legend goes, is because Dernhost was warlike, and the other creatures, the feral orcs, which were more rampant in the southwest, which is Dernhost, but also because that's where the Dreadlands are, which is the next Great War, which was spawned by the Dread Legion. That it's thought that perhaps this was a natural barrier created in order to protect Oleria from those threats to the west. Others believe that it's just a dark curse, and still others think that it's just, nature.
That's really cool.
But dark things lurk in the wood. You probably saw picture books when you were a child, the kind of picture books that would have like images of, like hand sketched, like, oh, here's what the thorn bushes look like. Here's a cross section of it. Like botany books, basically. But then also the ones that are like paintings of the woods, where you can see like the shadows of the monsters lurking behind. But maybe your childhood eyes were just playing a trick on you. Maybe they really are just the shadows of trees.
I don't know these picture books. I had gray cell walls.
After all, Shae, the shadows that you've seen, both in books and in real life, have always been weird to you. Always seemingly holding more than other people seem to think they do. What few friends you did have growing up, the other children, various servants, never saw what you saw in books, never saw what you saw in the dark. They always thought that, oh, little Shae and her wild imagination. After all, you wanted to run away and be a hero. And they just wanted to, grow up and serve the family or lead the family one day, depending on who they were. Bobby, roll me a d12.
Nine.
I'd really like you to do it.
What do you mean?
Oh. You said it with a slightly German accent. I didn't know what was happening.
Oh, I did. 9!
9! So you sleep. Presumably now you're going in more rotating shifts of watches, and Shae has had her first watch and is all confused and sad that she didn't get to sleep more. But she's starting to wonder if this is really what adventurers do and heroes. Not to write what your character feels. I feel like that's what it would be. So feel free to.
The shine hasn't completely disappeared yet, but I'm starting to get the feeling that some parts were left out of the books.
There is a blemish.
Yeah.
None of the books explain just how uncomfortable it is to sleep on the floor of a wagon.
Yeah.
Hey, at least we got a wagon.
It's actually probably not that bad, because you can probably.
Oh, it could be worse.
You could probably get up on
not
them.
exactly comfortable.
The seats are padded. I mean, Phen could lay down.
Oh, you're
for
assuming
sure.
you've got a seat.
I'm saying, yeah. So whoever gets the seats is doing well. So Phen can use one as a bed for sure. It is now Solon, Sunday, the day of the sun, the day in which the sun rises, to open up the week. The week, of course, filled by days as they relate to the gods of the realm. The major gods, not those celestial ones. They have different things. So on this Solon, you wake up slightly better rations. Xander was able to find. So he found a rabbit with a crossbow, and the rabbit doesn't have a crossbow. He found it, and he had a crossbow, and now there is no rabbit. But there is stew. So
stew.
And he was able to find some root vegetables and whatnot growing amongst the thorns. Turns out if you kind of know what you're doing and you're careful, you can work around the thorns without too much danger. And now the cart path is basically only big enough for the cart. And you can kind of see this, not quite tunnel, but a path. And after a while, maybe after 20 feet or so, it disappears. And then you'll kind of meander, and then you'll find it again. So you guys are starting to to see how he's navigating through this. And you presume this is a way that he has traveled before. Perhaps growing up in Baytown, he and his family knew a way to get through. Perhaps he and his father were woodsmen or hunters of some sort. After all, he dealt with that hair quite well.
He took a level of ranger.
He's not un-ranger-esque, yeah. He's not quite where you've heard the stories to be. Like, he's not one with the woods. He's not, stopping every few feet to smell the dirt or taste things, but he at least seems to know generally what's going on. Shae, roll a d12.
D12. Rolling those dice. 4.
As the sun rises, Xander says that this will be your last day completely in the Briarwood. Tomorrow you'll head back to the main road because he doesn't want to stay in the Briarwood, which gets extremely dense and surprisingly dangerous for as close as it is to Baytown, the closer you get to the village. It turns out that the closer you get to kind of Durnhost and the west, the more dangerous the Briarwood gets towards the edge of the Briarwood. And, kind of parsing some of the legend together and whatnot, you think that perhaps this is because it's so dense and so thick, those creatures that would live deep inside can't, and so that they are pushed further and further out, which in turn leads to the other rumors you've heard, which are along the lines of, if those big bad things are moving towards the outside, the thing that makes civilization worth living in, because these things are terrifying, what is deeper in the woods that's chasing them? Anywho, so final day of travel finds you really there are times when you have to get out and push the wheels of the cart over overgrowth. And every once in a while, Xander says, and even this trail is becoming too overgrown. You can see where the thorns have reached out and are encroaching. There are times when weapons have to be taken to chop down. There is actually a wood axe in the cart. You presume for repairs or getting branches. If the cart gets stuck in the mud, you can cut a branch, stick it under the wheel, etc.
Is no one trying to maintain any sort of path?
He kind of chuckles for a minute and looks at you, and then shakes his head and says, "No one is crazy enough to travel through the Briarwood."
Except
Right.
us, apparently.
Well, he said, "Yeah, of course. We'd be crazy to travel by the road."
You're not wrong.
All right. Adam, D12.
Mm-hmm. A 4.
Well, that's a force. All right. Your entire trip
4
to
for the
Baytown goes without incident.
Dun 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 dun.
Woohoo! Dun-dun. You, early in the morning, or fairly early into your travels, the cart turns to the north. Not quite 90 degrees, but almost. And begins to travel, making its way parallel to the reaching thorns, right? Past what you would think would be old growth oak, but really isn't quite that ancient. Yes, these are the parts that are that man has infringed on. So woods have been great swaths of woods have been removed to make way for villages and farmlands and whatnot, which is another reason why the Briarwood is so dangerous, so close to, because it has been chopped into and assaulted essentially to make way for civilization. But you get onto the main road again, and it looks clear. It looks nice. The sun is out and shining. It is a brisk but lovely day. And as you continue along the road, you find that the road actually kind of widens out a good bit. You think 3 or so carts could probably pass each other on the road here. It's not maintained as a stone road or anything like that, but it is nicely kept. You think that's because of all the travel that happens. It is not the main season of travel. Kind of the end of summer, or the mid to end of summer, we'll see more of that. Right now, the rains, which thankfully there aren't any right now, could potentially drown the roads in mud, making travel a little bit difficult. And you think that you would maybe see that a little bit more, either to the north, the south, or further towards, further back behind you to the east, rather than quite as close to the big lake as you are now. And up ahead you see what appears to be the world opening up to farmland. And you travel along and you see the farmhouses and livestock. It seems to be fairly well-to-do farms, even for kind of what you know to be not a backwater village, but a small village. I think that's because of its nature as a large trading post for essentially 3 nations, both by water and by land, which is a big deal. You realize that these are relatively small, humble houses, but beyond them there are some large wooden buildings, some nice wooden buildings, buildings with painted signs. And at the center of the road is a massive, beautiful, stately oak. And the set what would be like a town plaza, or where one would build a statue or a well, and this massive, like, white barked oak stands there, looming over all of the buildings around it, with its high-reaching branches. And I'm going to give you a picture.
What do the numbers mean?
Those aren't numbers. Those are actually like beautiful carvings on the ground or on the buildings.
What do the beautiful carvings on the ground or on the buildings mean?
Nothing. They're actually weird little like knots in the wood, essentially.
Damn it.
Yeah. No, super weird. I looked online. I couldn't find a version of this that didn't have the numbers on it. Like, you can sometimes type in, like, map of Barovia, no spoilers. So that way people can't be like, oh, we have to check 1 through 12. Okay, so that is Baytown.
Baytown!
Xander will tell you that he thinks because it's kind of a lull in the trading seasons, that there should be room at the Half Harbor Rest House, which is part of, as he kind of pulls towards the center. He points to the building marked 2 on your map. He's actually going to be pulling up in front of 3.
Is that the building with the gnarled wood 2-shaped,
yes,
like molded into the thing that's not really a 2?
Yes, exactly that. And we're just going to refer to those as numbers from now on, because that's easier to say. We'll call it the legend of the town. For multiple reasons, I guess.
The legend of Baytown.
Or the map key, perhaps, I think is a good way to refer to that for our purposes. So he points to the bigger building, and that's it's actually a 3-story inn, and it looks like the front roof has a big overhang and slopes towards the back. It almost looks kind of like the French Quarter houses from like New Orleans, or like an old like Wild West like saloon type thing, but it's got instead of a flat surface, it's got a balcony on that, and it looks like the first floor is under the balcony and recessed a bit with maybe like a little bit of a porch, but not like let's hang out on the porch, but just a porch, and you would guess that 2 floors above it are rooms or suites, right? Judging by the size of this place, you would guess that this serves quite a few people. Those people who don't want to stay on their ships or in their caravan as they're passing through, whatnot. you expect this probably has a fairly decent clientele at some points in time, and probably offers a wide range of services. He'll actually pull into that other building, and you'll notice that the road actually kind of turns partly into that, and this appears to be a stable of sorts. And as you were kind of approaching, you actually saw people working out back. Out back looks to be more like an open air repair area, storage for carts. There were some animals milling about out there, a fence to keep the horses and whatnot in. But he'll begin to pull in there, and he'll say, I can meet you later if you guys want. I can leave you, or you can stay at the Half Harbor if you just tell them that Xander sent you, and they should take care of you, give you a room or two to use. Or if you want, I can meet you over at the Brass and Barley, and he kind of points across towards the water to the big harbor on the other side of the oak tree, and you see, first of all, a building sitting at an angle to the road, and this appears to be a big, like, rural style church, most likely a sanctuary to the Celestium, or perhaps to a specific god. It's hard to tell at times in villages.
You're talking about building number 7, right?
Yes.
So behind that is like graveyard, not garden?
Yeah, it's a graveyard.
Aha.
And you might have caught a little bit of what appears to be almost like a big stone-winged, like, angel-looking kind of thing amongst the graveyard and these trees and whatnot. And of course, 9 is the encroaching Briarwood down to the south. But these are actually fairly substantial distances. These are big buildings for such a small town. He's pointing to number 6, which is out like half on the water, half on the land. It like over swings the water a little bit. And he tells you that that's the big fancy tavern that people like to visit when they're passing through. So he can either meet you guys there, or he can meet you at the Half Harbor, or if you guys want to part ways, he completely understands. He'll wish you luck and thank you again.
So were you going to the fancy bar later then, Xander?
He says, I'd only be going to meet up with you guys. Help you plan your next steps if you want, or give you whatever information I can. Otherwise, I'm going to use this carriage to both barter some of your stay and all of that, but I do have a couple other things I need to take care of. I actually, my home is enough outside of Baytown that I would be heading out that way soon enough anyway.
Okay.
Well,
What do you guys think?
Well, Sander, you're the only person we know here, so if you could just hang around for a bit in town, so if you have any questions, we can come to you. If that's not too much of trouble
he
for
said
you.
I certainly wouldn't be leaving before tomorrow, and it depends on how readily I can get some stuff in affairs arranged. He says, I actually I don't live so far away that I can't come back, but think of it as a little farmhouse out on the outskirts. So.
Okay, well, thank you.
So he says, so just brass and barley later tonight?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sure.
Okay. You guys are free to explore the town.
I'd say we go get a room and we put all our gear in there so we're not so scary.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I've gotten in trouble for walking around with swords before, so.
Oh boy, yeah. That's
if Xander's still around when you're saying this, or if you're going to say that, he'll say that won't be a problem here. Just don't draw it, and you won't have an issue. He kind of looks both ways, and he says, "Plenty of adventurers come through here."
Alrighty then.
Or adventuring types and mercenaries. Adventurer sounds too meta. Plenty of adventuring types and mercenaries, soldiers, and whatnot. Don't draw the weapon, and you shouldn't have any trouble.
Cool. I'm gonna go put our backpack in there. And hey, Xander, we got 10 gold from those thugs that tried to kill you. Do you have change? We'll split it up right here.
If you're just trying to split it up with him, he'll tell you that he's good. You guys earned that. But if you're trying to split it amongst yourselves, you can just go ahead and do that.
Well, you did the work too, so I just want to make sure that you don't feel like we're ever cheating you.
And he says, I don't really need the money from those guys. I'm good. And he
okay.
And the carriage goes inside the stables.
So 10 divided by 3. Everybody gets 3 gold, and we're going to add 1 back to the pot.
Okay. I'm good with that. So, to the inn, then?
Yeah.
Alright, so you enter the Half Harbor Rest House.
Is there a tavern and restaurant in this inn?
There are services provided, but no, there is not a classic tavern.
So we got to walk down the road if we want to have an ale and a sandwich.
The tavern, yes. This is more like concierge service style food for the clientele that wants it. So this is when the wealthy noble who's traveling with a caravan wants wine and food delivered to their room.
Is there a Baytown version of like Uber Eats where I could get them to go down to they could bring me back some mutton and like I only want 1 ale. I just want 1 because there's no reason to drink more.
Yeah, but you'd pay for it.
Well, I would assume.
No, I'm emphasizing pay for it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like I said, wealthy noble or merchants and whatnot.
So we're gonna walk down the street.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So let's get out. I'm gonna say, can we get 2 rooms? Xander said you'd take care of us.
Oh, you're already talking to the guy. So this is a fairly well appointed inn. It's got a nice like what I can describe as a lobby area or like a sitting room, with little lamps here and there. Fairly large windows, casting light down in. You actually realize that what you saw from the outside are actually light or big windows into this big open space, and then rooms on top. So it's actually only rooms on the 3rd floor that have those big windows looking out over the town, whereas the other ones provide light into this space. There's fairly richly appointed wooden desk and all that. You see several staff members around. There's kind of the general like peasant dressed cleaning people. A few women who are cleaning up around the place. Probably those who live somewhere in Baytown or nearby. But there are also more finely dressed like butlers and maids. There are a few travelers, it looks like, or people staying here. They seem to be of a slightly better class than poor, road-weary travelers. But what Xander would have told you on the road is that plenty of those people pass through too. They have, kind of just the normal rates as well, but those tend to be in like group bunkhouses and whatnot. The person behind the counter will say that you can have that they have one room that because it's the off season that they'll give you one private room to stay in, or you can stay in the bunkhouse if you'd rather stay in a bigger.
I'm cool just with if we just take the private room.
I get to be the big spoon.
Shae steps in first and is like, "Oh, let me just get away," and then she shuts the door. No, it's perfect in here. It's great.
We get the sofa, little one.
So
I get to be the big spoon.
the butler.
I'm still good with
rings
that.
a little bell, and a young gnome kind of runs up from the back. A fun little hat on his head and a nice vest. And the butler says, "These are friends of Mr. Dawes. Please show them to one of the rooms upstairs." And the gnome nods and leads you on. And he takes you up a big staircase. You pass by a big staircase, and he takes you to kind of a staircase against a wall in the back and takes you up. And you enter a hallway with a few sconces with nice little lamps on them. Dimly lit, but well enough. A window at the end of the hall lets in a pretty good amount of light. And he takes you to the last room against the wall, and it's on the north side. And he unlocks the door, pushes it open, hands you the key, kind of half bows, and takes back off.
Thank you.
I didn't have anything to tip him with. Damn it.
That's cool. I'm sure he gets paid.
The room has a small writing desk and a chair. Two relatively large beds. Certainly better than like cots or like bunks, but not like king beds.
Wow. We get a bed, not a sofa.
I forgot the
I'm okay with it.
She's like, I need both of these.
Push them together.
I'm cool with taking both beds if you want.
So long as I get to be the big spoon.
Yeah, how does that work anyway?
It's like a lumbar support.
Rocket back. You've heard of the boomsticks, right? The big things that explode fire and shoot heavy things at people and goes really, really far like a bow, but explodey. Yeah. It's like that. And I'm writing somebody.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
I feel like that was sexual.
I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be. At which point I was going to be like, you can't say this after we're talking about spoons.
So, my wife is 5'3" and I'm 6'8", and I am generally the small spoon.
Sometimes you just want to feel loved, feel safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because she's like, I'm your little rocket pack. So that's what that is.
Gotcha.
That's nice.
It's cute.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Phen's gonna dump his backpack and his shield, or throw a shield on his back and sling his sword on his hip and go exploring. Let's go. Dump your stuff. Let's go see what's here. I've never been here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that's good. Exciting. Adventure.
There's like all these places we can go check out, and I want to go see what's in that graveyard.
It's
Did you see it,
probably
Angel?
around 3 in the afternoon, by the way.
Perfect.
Plenty of time.
Ish.
Plenty of time-ish.
Did you say you want to go to the graveyard?
I want to. Did you see that thing that looked like it might have been like this winged person?
The big statue? Yeah.
Yeah, let's go look at it.
Okay.
I don't think cemeteries are supposed to be tourist attractions.
Right, it's probably some rich guy's headstone.
But it's awesome.
Well, I mean, we can go there if you want. That's fine.
Just try not to act too touristy.
Mom and Dad went to Baytown, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Oh my god, there needs to be a fucking common magic item called a wand of remembrance or something, and you like put it up to the side of your head, and it's like taking a picture, and he's just going everywhere, and then like all the like tourists from Unal just all have them. What?
It doesn't just take a picture; it like actually prints it out. It's the wand of Polaroid. It gives you a physical picture each time, and only like 10 uses, and then you have to sleep.
So it's a Polaroid.
Oh,
I like that. Nice.
It's a 10-foot Polaroid.
Nice, even better.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
You're welcome.
That was comedy gold.
Gold.
Oh, that's tremendous.
I'll take it.
Alright, so what are you doing?
Accept. Going to look at the angel.
Okay.
I'm not excited about looking at the cemetery, but I guess we can at least check out the church.
Oh, yeah, do I recognize the church? Is it like a specific denomination? Is there a specific
you're not sure of from the outside.
goddess?
You would, if you had to guess, you would think probably just Celestium in general, which is kind of the most common for especially provincial. This is a big church for a relatively small place.
Guys, do you want to wait here for a minute? I got to go inside real quick. I mean, just for a minute, and I'll be right back out.
If you guys don't also want to go inside, I was gonna say you guys can. You can probably get into the cemetery.
Yeah, if you want to come in, that's cool. I just, I mean, I can't really walk past this church without going in, and I gotta go and say a little prayer, do something, and it'll, it's no big deal. But if you guys are good with it, I'm gonna sneak in here real quick for a minute.
Yeah, Phen will follow him inside.
All right, I'm gonna go in, push in, and if there's a donation box, I'll drop a gold piece in it.
There certainly is a donation box. Yes.
I drop a gold piece.
When you enter, there's a big like as soon as you open the doors, and it's kind of like a foyer area, maybe like 10 feet deep, and then to the left and to the right are entrances into the church proper. This wall, however, is lightly carved, not ornately so, but just a little bit of relief. But at the top, or near the top, is a big, maybe like 15-foot wide, circular like cutout, almost like a wooden carved window, and it's the symbol of the Celestium. So you think that pretty much confirms your. It doesn't mean that they don't maybe specifically have something else inside, but certainly at least they pay some reverence here.
Right, definitely a holy place.
Yeah, and as you walked inside, you noticed that to the right or to the south is a large bell tower off the back end of the church.
Not uncommon.
As you enter the actual
the vestiary.
Yeah, as you enter the actual area in the center, it's a like triple high space.
That's like really good weed, right?
The first thing, one of the first things you notice is there really aren't pews here. There's a few This isn't necessarily uncommon, but there's a few like low wooden walls that are fairly ornately carved. They're almost like railings or banisters, and the idea is that you go up to them and
kneel and pray.
Yeah, essentially.
Are they still laid out like pews, or?
Not entirely, no. There's very few of those as well. They're about the entire church is probably like 100 feet to the back wall. It's a fairly large space. There are maybe 6 of these, and the first ones are 30 feet in, and then there's like 10 feet between them or so. And you think most likely this is because people come in, if sailors want to come in and spend a little bit more time. Often what will happen is a priest will stand on the other side of the wall to bless people when there are services or when there are other things. There are alcoves around the church, and each one has what you would guess is some sort of dedication to each of the 26 gods, or at least the ones that aren't remembered for festering blights and whatnot. But usually a Church of the Celestium has everything represented for reasons.
Oh, that's really cool.
Reasons is my intel guy. So there are these 26 alcoves around. Well, there are not 26, but there are these alcoves, and you would presume that they are for that each god gets an alcove, and you see that there are various candles and other things. Tributes would be given, and most Celestium churches have kind of a difference between what is tribute for the church, what is donation to be given out for a cause, and then what is to be left there for a long time. So like a wealthy merchant might like leave like a very important or very nice ring or something, right? On the altar to Tybon or something, in order to try to ensure safe passage by sea.
Yep. Val'Rie is likely not to have her own alcove, right? She's not one of the major gods.
No celestial god is a major god.
Okay.
The major gods are an actual class. Those are the creator gods.
Do I recognize an alcove for Val'Rie?
Within the Celestium itself, there are gods that are more commonly worshipped, but they're not ever really referred to as major or whatever. I mean, some gods are more popular. Obviously, Val'Rie would be more popular with soldiers, of which there are plenty in this region because you're very close to the front. It's also a naval station. Gods that maybe wouldn't get as much attention, or would get attention in the way of like, hey, let's see if we can keep them away, would be like possibly the Reaper, or Cyril, who is the god of disease, misfortune, decay, unraveling, and nightmares. Oh, and fear. Who has to be worshipped, but
So is there an alcove to Val'Rie?
Of course there is.
That's what I'm looking for first off and foremost.
Of course.
Okay, I'm gonna go there directly.
What her alcove is it looks to be a stone carving of a pair of hands, and they look feminine. They look fairly well made. They're nicely polished. You would guess local artisans, or as this town was being built up, as thanks for something, merchants maybe commissioned these to be made, or perhaps even an officer in the army would have said, "Hey, let's commission this." So it's a pair of hands, and they like a little plinth, and these hands are coming out of that same wood, coming out of that, and they're almost like the palms are together, not the palms, the heel of the hand are together, and then the fingers are kind of so almost as if you were doing like praying hands, and then opened them to hold up, And
right, classic Valrie.
yeah, and so that's I'm sorry, that's not wood, that's stone. And then out of that is a nicely carved wooden sword that has some very ornate carvings in the handle and whatnot. And
this is what drew my eye to this alcove in the first place. It's obviously, I mean, you couldn't get more Valrie than this.
It's the only one that features a weapon
Hmm.
that you can see.
But
this is not her holy symbol, so.
Well, no, but it's obviously an identifier.
Yes, and when you get there, you do see that it's actually a small window is set into the big stone alcove. Actually, is it a wooden church? Sorry, it's a wooden church. Into this alcove, there's a small window set back in it, and that has kind of in leaded glass and like some coloring her symbol, which is redacted and not yet made. And there's various other accoutrements. You see what looks to be a dagger, fairly nice in design on the thing. There are some coins. It's not uncommon for a soldier who feels a special connection to Valrie to leave the first gold coin of pay, or an officer to leave the first gold coin of their commission on an altar to Valrie, and then reclaim it after their tour, or whatever, right? So there is a stack, not stack, but there is an area of unclaimed coins, and these are typically set into this little altar for her is actually a stone plinth, and this is almost like how you would carve like a stone bowl, so it's like a little bit of a depression, but it's in the same thing, and that's where the coins of the of these soldiers are. Some of them have little like initials carved in them, others numbers that you think might be like a platoon number or something of that, some sort of unit call sign. Some have what look like ribbon tied around them. Most likely that would be if they had left a woman behind who they intended to marry. You know that some of these coins will probably never be claimed. Some of them will just simply be forgotten, or
there's a few collecting dust,
and there's a few that will remain there for a long time. And typically, a priest of you doubt that there's a priest of Valrie here, but there may be. But a priest specifically devoted to the faith would collect those, and after a certain amount of time, and perform a particular ritual, and either add them to a leather, some sort of like chain. So like often a silver chain with the coins just if it's depending on where the coin was struck, obviously determines whether or not it'll have a hole in it. Durum gold coins have a square hole in the center because of they're so merchant oriented, and so often what is a common way to carry gold coins for merchants and whatnot are to have them on chains or tied together like that rather than just in a coin purse. So often a priest will put those together, and you actually see behind the sword there are another pair of hands, and strung between them is a silver chain from finger to finger. These are probably 3 feet across, and on that there are coins.
I'm going to take just a quick moment to dust off and polish up the coins that are stacked there. Careful to not remove any markings that are on those coins, and to stack them back exactly as they were, so as not to disturb any offering for Valrie or anything that someone might come to claim. And then I'm going to take out my prayer book and just kneel and quickly thumb through a couple of quick prayers, just about my devotion and faith to Valrie, and all praise be to the goddess of the warriors. And then I'll, like, as quickly as I wandered in, I'll stand up and turn to my friends and be like, okay, out the back door, want to go look at the thing?
And to your friends, that's about how much time that took. But we'll come back to you in a moment. Would anyone else like to do anything while he is doing that, or are you just watching because you're interested in seeing what he'll do?
Phen's gonna bounce around like a little kid and look around at stuff.
There are a few peasants.
What's this?
Like,
What's this? What's that?
Like normal townsfolk or travelers in here. You also see 3 slightly nicer dressed people. 2 look like they're together, a man and a woman. One is significantly older than the other, so you don't necessarily think they're a couple. Possibly a father and daughter. Then one like middle-aged man dressed in relative finery, and there appear to be 2. As Grim begins to pray, Phen, you see 2. They would look like Franciscan friars essentially, except they don't have the haircut the same way, but they're in fairly plain robes. They have sashes around their belt, and they have necklaces that, from where it looks like they're either cloth or leather, like thong necklaces. And they have wooden holy symbols of sorts on them. One is a circle that looks very much like the window. You would, of course, recognize this as the Celestium. The other you don't recognize as readily. But you may just not be up on your catechism.
Yeah, just going to look around and look for neat, exciting things.
Okay, I'll get back to you in a moment then. Shae.
As we walked into the church, I would have looked around.
Burst into flames.
Yeah. Screaming and melting. I would have looked at, first, of course, the church itself, and then at the people in them. Try and get a feeling of the state of the town through the people that I see. Are there many people here? Stuff like that.
There's about, what did I say, like 4 or 5 townsfolk. The 2 nicer dressed people, the 2 monks, not or friars or whatever, priests, and then the other nicer dressed guy.
Okay. And then I'll
But
follow
it's also like
Grim.
3 o'clock in the day.
Right. And then I'll follow Grim because I'm actually kind of interested in his fate and what I'll do, what this ritual is.
Okay. Grim, you open up your book to you kind of have your choice. There's the litany of devotion.
Wait, can I ask first, Grim, are you okay with me watching, seeing what you do?
Oh,
With
sure.
that,
Yeah, no, pull up a seat, pop some corn. You can join in if you know the words.
Thanks. This time I think I'll just watch.
We'll fight and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight some more.
No, Litany of Devotion, typically where I start off.
Okay, I was gonna say the other one is the prayer for fallen soldiers.
Well, it
And
might
then
be a
there would
little
be the
grim
blessing
for
of
now.
battle.
Okay, Blessing of Battle's a little bit long, right? And the Fallen Soldiers action, kind of grim, so I'm just going to go with a Litany of Devotion, just kind of say my thing and be done with that.
Are you going to read it out
loud? Let's say yes.
Okay. Like full voice or like after people are kind of near to you?
No, at a quiet, a reverent tone.
Okay. You begin to read the words. The words are familiar. There is an extent to which you can kind of just zone out during this, but you're not. You're
done it
focused.
a million times.
Yeah.
Sure.
However, as you start to read it, you can hear your voice still going, but you also feel yourself just detach almost immediately. I mean, I don't mean like not immediately upon starting, but immediately as in like it doesn't fade. It like happens, and you're very aware of it.
Immediately when this happens, I want to look up at the roof. The ceiling of this church is wooden rafters, yes?
Yes, but you can't look up. You find yourself unable to move properly. You are able to draw your gaze to the altar or to your book, but not really in any other direction. It's almost like everything else kind of gets blurry and go away. You know that there are some big chandeliers above you, or one big chandelier in the rafters. There are some candles on the wall, though those might have actually blown out by now. You feel like you've been here for hours. You can hear the litany of devotion going, but you know where you are in it, and it hasn't been long, only a few lines so far. And you hear a familiar voice. And it says, "This place gives fair reverence. They seem to revere."
Yes? Terrified.
Slightly
wetting
female
myself.
The slightly female voice says, "Although, I suppose they could have given a little bit more attention to some of the gods."
So do I realize who I think it is that's talking to me?
I think so. So this is
okay. So
Galana.
I immediately become contrite. So I'm just going to like curl up into a ball and say that I really don't know what's going on here. There's this church and we're in town and I came in to pay my respects and I really don't know anything about anybody who's here or anything else. All I really wanted to do was come in and pay my respects to Valrie and say a little prayer. And I didn't mean to anger anyone. I don't know what's going on and this is really confusing me.
She says, "No, you acted correctly. You should get up. This is a nice place."
Can I get up?
You never actually got down. Try as you might have, or as much as it seemed like you did in your own mind, you didn't. You're still just on your knees, reading the litany of devotion.
And so can I stand?
Yeah, you can try if you want.
I will try.
You stand.
Is it really me standing, or is me still doing litany of devotion and other me is standing?
You are absolutely still doing the litany of devotion.
Oh, I love this.
And you don't see yourself outside of yourself. Your spirit, you feel it. That's the only way I can describe it, is that you feel like you are standing, but you know that you are not.
I am it, but I'm not.
Yes. You look back down at your book and you see that, okay, you're still, the words are burning bright on the page, but that's fine because you know them anyway. You could recite them even if your book were lost to you.
And I can hear me reciting them
distantly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like an echo. I sound really cool.
The hands under the sword stretch out and open and reach out, and they cup you by the face.
Face cupping now.
And the hilt and pommel of the sword, it was like it shifts slightly. It's like a rosy. It's actually reminiscent of the Briarwood, is kind of how it's carved. It has these kind of like floral patterns. So there are flowers on the thorn bushes carved into this. And the one rose at the pommel kind of moves like lips, and they form these obviously female lips. And the rose petals kind of shift to become, and you start to see a face emerge, like in the sword. The crossguard forms the bottom, like the cheek line under eyes, and the eyes emerge, and then the wood kind of moves and grows, and it's even in this countenance, it is a beautiful woman. If she were human, you would guess early 20s. Just beautiful face. Very not like a dryad. This is not a creature of wood or of the forest. Although the beauty of the face appears or bears some resemblance to like an elf or elvish features. And because you don't see, there's no hair, it's just the wood. Although the thorn bushes have kind of gone, and those carvings are part of her. And the hands reach up and they cup your face, and it's soothing and it's cool and it's stone, but it's warm at the same time, like a human's touch. And she says, Grim, you know the lessons teach that forgiveness can come to those who try. You serve Valrier well, and you have saved your friends. All that she asks is that you continue along.
I'm still freaking out a little bit.
She kind of starts to draw her hands back, and says, much more of her body has appeared now. It's almost like this wood and stone woman is standing before you, and you never really see this transformation happen. It's kind of like all of a sudden you just realize, oh yeah, there's more. So the sword is gone, just this wooden face and flowing like thornbush hair, stone clothing, beautiful dress. The windows behind her with the color are forming these vast wings of unimaginable light and beauty. And she says to you, there is much darkness in the world, and there is darkness here. Be the soldier that we need you to be, and lead your friends well.
At that, I will, in my incorporeal, not me form, I will stand up and bow my head, and I will say, by her light shall all evil vanquish.
The hand rests atop your head for a moment, and she says, never all evil, and then draws it down the side of your face to one last cup against your cheek. And she smiles, and she steps back into the alcove, which is literally just like an alcove around her. There's no altar or anything anymore, because it all became her. The gold that was there is now forming the color and threads upon her beautiful flowing gown. The stone body has given way to polished marble that almost appears as pale skin. The wood has become warmer and more polished, so that it almost takes on the countenance of human flesh.
And I will be overwhelmed and bow back onto my knees, basically like rejoining my actual form and finishing the last words of the rites of devotion with like an adrenalized rush.
You two notice that Grim, as he reaches the last line, starts speaking in a voice as if he were preaching to the room. It begins to echo off the alcove. Whether or not this seems to be annoying the other patrons is perhaps a little lost on you, but the two friars are making their way over here. The prayer finishes, and Grim, you look up and you see the hands holding the sword, with the glass behind it and the string of coins, and the altar is as you left it when you cleaned it. Standing to your side is a short and fairly portly man with a high hairline, kind of a fairly classic friar or monk. And he's looking down at you and he's smiling. And he says, welcome, brother. Thank you for your words. And he offers you a hand to help you stand up.
I won't accept the hand, but not in a disrespectful way. I'll just stand on my own.
Yeah.
And kind of nod towards him and look around for my friends.
Yeah. He'll, the hand that was offered, he'll kind of raise it up and just touch it to your shoulder. and say, "Gods be with you." The other man, he's not smiling, but he looks like he's probably the sterner of the two. He also looks younger, probably more in training. He's the one who has the Celestium pendant. The other fellow, you can make a religion check if you want to try to guess, or rather probably know.
That would be a 10.
That's good enough. Miridus, who is a god of the sea, poetry, inspiration, exploration, adventure, and freedom. He's also the messenger of the gods. He's like the Hermes.
Mercury.
In retrograde, yes. Although,
right.
Where you're from, because I have to keep that in mind as well, the island to the east of the Easternlands. So there's the Eastern continent, and then there's the island of Yunal out there, which is fairly eastern in its ideas. It's also the home of like the misty forests, which are basically like mist shrouded bamboo very like Chinese and Japanese like art print in real life, right?
Nice.
Kung Fu Panda-esque.
Paper screens, noodles, a lot of dragon art.
More spirit animal than other things, but yeah. But probably very Japanese in its approach to most things. But really just like the Asian sector of this game, I suppose, is not to lump it all together, but essentially what it is. He is believed to be a little like the god is pictured as a small boy who rides a tiny little skiff with streamers that blow behind it, like almost like a tiny little wind sail or windsurfing skiffy thing.
Sounds pretty cool.
I think where
Sounds
you're
like
from,
my
he
kind of god.
rides a swordfish, and is often accompanied by the mermaids and other flying fish and whatnot.
Well, because if you're gonna ride a swordfish,
Gonna get the ladies.
I'm saying.
So generally
Preach,
considered
brother.
a god of merriment to some extent.
Obviously, a little more on the partying side than what I'm accustomed to.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, Valrie has some celebrations, but I would not call her a goddess of merriment.
No.
No.
She would be played by Lucy Lawless in the live action.
Nice. Yes.
It stands to reason that you would have prayed to Meridus at some points in time for safe passage and whatnot, along with Tybon. Again, your devotion to Valrie does not mean lack of devotion to the others. In fact, Galana will have reminded you of that a lot.
Yeah.
That's why the offer was on the table for you to be a priest of the Celestium as well. I went with bookish and hopeful for Galana, which I may or may not be able to pull off, but we'll see.
We'll find out.
I think treating her as kind of the Gabriel, but not a bitch.
I really like that character reference, though. I mean, if I'm gonna have
that's the only thing I can picture.
If I'm gonna have an angelic guide, then yeah.
I was gonna make I was gonna make her look more like a creature than a human, and I think maybe one of her forms will probably be more like that, the kind of like serpent, dragony angel kind of look that I always think is what a Deva is, but it's not. But because
you can always lean that way depending on mood.
But if she's actually of Valrie, then she's actually going to be more in the line of like a Valkyrie. She's going to be a hard ass bitch, is what I'm saying. She's going to be awesome. The portly priest asks you if, brother, what brings you to our church?
It's the only church in town. What do you mean?
Well, typically our humble place of worship sees only travelers and merchants, those passing through. I was just curious what brings one of hers here, and he kind of gestures to the altar.
So I don't
impression that probably
trust
clerics don't come
strangers,
through.
period, let alone priests. And so when he asks what brought me here, I just look at him and say, a carriage that's already passed through, and I turn and walk away.
The younger one starts to speak up in order to kind of like, he's going to say something about you disrespecting the priest, but the priest will follow in your footsteps and kind of put a hand on the boy to quiet him, so he doesn't get much out in the way of words, more just noises. And the other two of you, because you probably aren't following directly behind Grim, will hear the priest say, "Another time, lad." And you have your duties. The older priest will turn and say to the two of you to please make yourselves at home. You are welcome to use the church and to worship. And do you have any? I don't know if there's anything you want to say to or ask.
Thanks.
So there was a door, not in this part, but in more the foyer area that leads out to the cemetery. So presumably that's where you're going, Grim.
I'm actually holding the door open.
Shae and Phen?
Yep, let's go.
Thank you.
You step outside into the fairly well-kept yard, although it's a little bit muddier or dirtier in the places where people walk. And you walk out and you see this large set. This is probably it's mostly human proportion, but it's probably at the scale of like 8 feet tall. Big stone statue of what looks like kind of a classic in our world, an angel, but it's not an angel. It's you think it's probably a goddess. In one hand, she's holding an actual wooden staff that almost looks like a shepherd's staff. And the other hand is outstretched.
I don't recognize her.
You probably would even without a roll. But you can roll if you want to try to guess more or try to know more, or you can just know who it is.
That's a 12 on a religion.
It is Nerissa. The
sure, Nerissa. I should have known.
Goodly goddess of death and natural balance, life and renewal. She is the shepherd of souls. She is also, in some places, said to lead brave warriors from their bodies on the battlefield. A job not taken by Valkyrie, or the Valkyrie. But that's mostly just in Norgos, Sturlock, and the more warlike of the regions to the east.
She's our version of the ferryman.
No, because Kaidor is the ferryman.
Oh, damn it. I always get them mixed up.
There are 3 collector of soul death gods, and then 1 actual death god, who is like Hades. So you see this statue, and you know that you find yourself at peace, that the souls and the buried dead are honored here, and they are well looked after. Grim gains inspiration.
So is there anything neat in the church?
Probably tons of stuff. Other alcoves.
Anything, just seeing if there's anything like not a donation or seemed out of place or a little weird or.
No, if you go on the presumption that there's a good chance that things would be donations or quote-unquote sacrifices and whatnot, you probably wouldn't notice anything odd. And at the other end of the church, there would be, like a main altar and some doors and whatnot, probably leading onto like the priest's quarters and whatnot. So short of trying to go in there, which may or may not be frowned upon.
Okay. So the angel, any engravings, anything like that?
Yes, there is a on the pedestal there is a. It looks like it's probably a bit of scripture. A little bit worn away from the elements and whatnot. It does get pretty heavily rained here, especially in kind of what season it is now. It seems like it's been fairly dry, but that doesn't mean it can't, basically monsoon soon.
Sure.
It seems to allude basically to things like is the shepherd, watch the flock, protect the honored dead, these kind of things.
Cool. That's all I wanted to see, guys. That's neat. Do you know what it is, Grim?
Yeah. Symbol of the stuff and things.
That's neat. Okay, where do you guys want to go?
Are we still looking at the statue?
If you want.
Or are we're done with that?
This statue is that was it a grave or more of a monument?
No, it's not a grave. It's like a statue to this goddess in the center of the.
Right.
Is she like doorway to the dungeon kind of a statue?
You don't think so? It looks fairly undisturbed. The pedestal itself is about 3 feet tall, and the no.
Well, is there like
maybe
anything
chest
obvious,
height?
like one outstretched hand that we should put a coin in, or?
It's outstretched, but not in a flat manner, in a welcome manner, and it is parallel to the line of the church, so that when if you were to step out the back of the church, which might be what they do for processions for funerals, she would be welcoming you. And there's a very open space, and graves go to her left and to her right at an angle. They kind of match the angle of her outspread hands. You think that kind of off to the one side there are the more like the bigger gravestones and like more sparse graves, and then there's more like memorials for families and whatnot. So probably more of the stone is removed, ashes are placed down and whatnot.
So Grim will kneel at the statue and just say a really quick prayer to the gods, and then stand up and kind of look left and look right and say, okay, so you guys want to get some dinner?
It's still a bit early for dinner, don't you think?
Maybe.
I mean,
Maybe 4 o'clock.
I consider that early.
I mean, I'm used to being in bed by 7, so.
Oh, that's fair. Do you want to go to bed that early? Is this the plan?
Well, I can totally stay up late too. I'm falling into old habits.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Man, this is a nice graveyard. Graveyards are nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, calming, but
Peaceful? Mm-hmm.
Indeed. I'm not really hungry, but I'm okay with, going to the inn and getting something to eat or drink. You can have your dinner.
I suppose we could explore too.
Well, I would like to check out the harbor, the ships. See the ships?
Oh, sure. Let's go for a walk on the boardwalk over there.
Oh, that sounds great.
Right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You down,
What do you
Phen?
think, Phen?
Nope, I was totally muted and forgot I was muted. Yeah, I'm down. Let's go.
Awesome. Let's take a nice stroll along the water.
Okay, so As you pass by the giant oak tree, this thing is easily like 8 feet across, right? Trunk width.
I want to climb it.
And massive and huge. You would probably need help because the first branch is nowhere near Phen height.
It's fine.
I'll give you a lift.
Yes.
Whoop.
Give me an athletics check.
Aha. So wait, me or him?
Him.
With advantage or not?
No.
Shit. Natural 1.
Oh.
So a 5.
You get a hold of a branch and start to pull yourself up, and looking out to the side, you see some people staring at you, and you forget what you're doing and go to wave, and just plummet back to the ground.
Totally legit. That is exactly what would happen. It's a big tree, guys.
What made you want to climb it?
It's a big tree. I want to see what's at the top.
Maybe you should try again.
Or maybe there's like a hidden door, like once you get up a little ways, because it's so big, and there's probably stairs going all the way down, and there's a dungeon full of treasure.
Go find that door.
Let's go find the door. Will you help me up again?
Yep, here you go. Whoop.
I'll just awkwardly step to the side.
Oh, I might have thrown him a little hard that time.
No, natural 1.
Did you really get another natural 1?
Sure did.
Wow.
This time you start to reach for the branch, and you hear someone yell, "Stop that, boy! Don't go climbing the tree."
That's what I told him.
And plummet to my butt again.
He just lets you go. like a hand's width away from a branch. Almost got it.
What's up there? Who is that? Who said that?
As you kind of right yourself and fix everything about you, you see a man in a kind of a coat, not like a traveling cloak, that's almost kind of like a duster around him. It's and he's got a parted grayish beard and a cap, and he has what you believe to be like the medallion of like a sheriff or a constable on his left breast, and he says, "The white oak ain't for climbing, lad.
What's
Nothing
special
up there
about it?
But more beautiful branches and plenty of shade."
But what's special about it? Why is it so big and in the middle of the road? I feel like being in the middle of the road is not a good place for it.
Well, look at how big it is, boy. Can't just up and move it.
Well, why'd you put the roads there? You mean were the roads there first, or?
He says, "The white oak is lucky."
It's lucky? Is it really?
Yeah, do you want to take any sort of check on that? A nature check, or God, even like a history or arcana check?
Yeah, sure.
Pick a
Any
check.
one of those.
Pick a check, any check.
Rolled a natural 15, so anything that you said there would be a natural 15.
Okay.
You take your pick.
So all intelligence at +0.
Yeah.
Yeah, white oak have a connection to spirits and magics.
And whiskey.
Yeah, they're popular for like I said, spirits. They're popular for certain types of like wizard staffs and such. They yeah, they're said to be conduits for like spirit magic and that sort of thing. Protection from evil.
That's neat. I bet there's a door at the top somewhere. But I don't want to try again. My butt hurts.
Maybe we'll try again after dark.
Yeah. Because I bet he'll yell at me if I try again. I bet there's a door up there, though.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every white oak I've ever climbed had a door at the top.
Really?
Yeah, I've never climbed one, but...
Oh.
That was mean.
Oh, that's mean.
The Squirrel King lives.
To the docks!
Alright, as you walk past the oak, on your right is the trading posts, the artisans' workshops. So there's you can see and smell the smithy smoke, kind of that. You think there's maybe a tanning shop, probably a smithy, maybe a woodworking area, maybe cart repair, that kind of stuff.
This is where we'll find the artisans.
Yes. And then on your left is the dock house, and this has this would be where the dockmaster and the log books are kept and all that kind of stuff. It also has what looks like a lighthouse that only shines out, doesn't shine back towards land. So kind of like a beacon tower. You also see several naval personnel moving around this area. So you think maybe that's where the Navy station is. And then out in front of you is a fairly wide wooden dock out into the water. And then the kind of fingers of wood that go out towards the ships, and you have the slips and whatnot. There's mostly little fishing vessels here, a couple sturdier looking travel boats, and then there are actually bigger ships, merchant vessels out in what appears to be a protected harbor.
What's the water look like? Is it clear or murky?
It is kind of dark. It's a lake, a big lake. Actually, these probably should be seas at some point in time, the equivalent of the Dead Sea or the Mediterranean Sea. I did not put enough thought into the geography from that point of view. So yeah, it's fairly murky here. You figure the various tannins from the wood and you're sure that stuff spills into this part of the bay. Although it's nice water, but it's not crystal clear. Beautiful lagoon of gorgeousness water. But it's nice.
Okay.
You'd be like, oh, Baytown is a nice place to visit.
Are there stalls out or anything like that? People selling stuff? Or...
Oh, no. It's not busy enough to warrant that.
Okay.
Although you imagine that probably during high traffic times, yes. It doesn't help that, of course, you've heard the rumors that, there's diplomatic issues between Altara and Dernhost again. So you imagine that there's some slumping of trade.
That's fair.
So get a good view of the boats, Shae?
Yeah, I especially like the big one.
There's what you think are two relatively fast, maybe cutters, for the Darum Navy. There's a couple larger merchant vessels, and then what looks like maybe just a big round hulled cargo ship or something.
For just a brief second, just for a second, I'm imagining that we're going to have to steal one of those cutters to get away from what's coming for us. But it passes.
That's really, really negative thinking there. Bad vibes, man. Bad vibes.
I like to think of myself as a realist.
Maybe they'll just pass through town without seeing us.
Guys, we gotta go find something to do. Like, I bet there's stuff I bet we could get a job here.
We'll kind of need a job. I mean, I don't know how much gold you guys have, but I only have pocket money.
Yeah, if we're going to stay here for any length of time, we're going to need some income.
She's like taking sacks of gold. I only have this pocket money. All this pocket money. Pocket money for days!
Guys, I bet we could... We should try to do something big. Let's make Shae a hero. She wants to be a hero.
Okay.
That becomes the entire point of this campaign, for you guys to help Shae become a hero. I love that.
I like that.
I'm down. I bet if we went back to the church, we could have... I bet they have a problem that needs solved.
Let's go check.
You were just there.
I mean, if nothing else, if the church doesn't have a problem, we could always swing into the tavern.
Let's just go to the tavern now.
Somebody there either needs help or is going to start some trouble. Either way, we'll get to roll some dice.
Meta.
I was like, yeah, I think we're gonna get out of the session without like a fight or out of any sort of like encounter that involves rolling. I don't necessarily mean for that to happen, but it's just kind of the way it goes.
Well,
like I said,
apparently we're going to get into a fight even if we have to start one ourselves.
Shae needs to become a hero.
Yeah. We're getting a fight with a town militia.
Right? No, she needs like a catchphrase. We're gonna put it on like t-shirts and shit and spread it around.
Yeah.
Merchandise.
Yeah, totally.
Like in Hercules.
Well, and when it gets busy down in the docks, we'll get our own little booth. We'll sell that merch.
So let's go to the tavern then.
To the Brass and Barley.
That's it.
Sure. Okay.
Don't sure me like you don't remember the name of the tavern.
No, I'm just... Shae did not expect it. I think the rest of the group to be so on board with her being a hero thing.
Hey, we all have dreams.
That's true. She's willing to see where this goes.
Yeah.
I think you could have been like, I want to be a baker of doom. And Phen would have been like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Doom with icing?
Okay, so we're going to start a bakery?
And make you a hero.
Oh, okay.
Hero sandwich.
Heroes, yeah.
Heroic baking.
We're going to make a pastry and we call it a hero.
This is the Brass and Barley. It's a rather nice tavern. It's not quite the same scale as the Sailor's Respite, and from what you have seen, it is not as openly. We have an upstairs there, although you imagine the Guild of Roses is probably represented here. Shae, bet money on it.
As you would expect.
But it is a very nice building. It looks like it probably has gone through several renovations over the years. It's not like Merchant King ready, and it's not as nice as the Half Harbor Rest House, but it is a pretty good spot. It's got a bar in the center that seems to serve two sides with a big square of drinkers around the bar. then a bunch of booths and tables and whatnot. And it does have an upper floor, but that just looks to be more tables.
This looks nice.
You imagine it gets quite busy.
This looks nice.
But again, it's the off season.
Pretty fancy for what is actually a relatively small town, I would say.
Yeah, and it's because of the public use of passerbys.
Okay,
so you imagine
that
the houses are fairly rustic. In fact, the ones that you've passed are fairly small. They're not the tiny apartments of the city-dwelling peasants, but they are small farmhouses.
Right. Okay. So is this also the time where do I see Xander? Let's start with that. Is he here?
No.
No.
You imagine that if he did have things to take care of, he pretty much hinted as much that he would not meet you until like after dinner time.
Okay. Do you want to get something to eat now? You mentioned that earlier. Grim?
I could eat.
Okay.
Who's going to find the problem for us today? To make Shae a hero.
Who else is here? Is it just us?
No, there are a couple townsfolk. I mean, mostly you imagine that townsfolk are tending to their farms if they're farmers, but there are probably some who are mostly just dockhands or aren't terribly busy because of the time. There are a couple merchanty types. You imagine that some of the people who would be at the Half Harbor inn or rest house are here right now, either seeking respite or maybe a late lunch or something to that effect. Obviously,
but do any of them look overly distressed and or demon possessed?
No.
Why are you
Not
looking for demon
overly.
possession?
Well, I just thought that'd be an easy, ooh, hey, quick, demon out, and we're done, and all of a sudden you're a hero.
It's true.
Oh, if you wanted a demon, why didn't you just say so?
Oh,
Well, we're the demon.
Well, a tavern is a good place to find one.
Fair.
You're like taking notes. You're like, is that true? Okay, yeah.
That makes sense, yeah. Or maybe he means this like metaphorically and talking about the evil of alcohol. Yeah, I can see that. Note.
Evil spirits.
Yeah. Well, let's get something to drink and then we can find a table and we can have a look around.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, are you going to go up to the bar then?
Sure.
The bartender is a well enough dressed man. Older, but not old. And he kind of nods to you and says, well, what can I get you? Kitchen doesn't open for a little bit, but we have duck and leek soup.
Blessings, friend. 3 bowls of soup and 3 ale, please.
Can I just have a juice, please? Or anything like that?
I'm gonna cleanse.
Yeah, her bowl and ale are for the small one at the end.
Huh? What?
Yep.
Yeah.
The man nods and says, 3 silver.
I give him a gold.
He reaches into a small pouch and brings back out 7 pieces of silver and slides them on the table to you. Like where kind of like does them in a neat little stack up. And you hear the clink, 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 clink.
Nice. Like a poker player.
He goes to a big vat that's on a small like stove kind of thing. And there's a big chimney going up the center and out through the roof. and he dips the ladle in and pours 3 bowls, and then opens the spout on the ale, puts 3 mugs under it, and sets this all on the table in front of you, or on the bar in front of you. And he says, "We don't get many travelers during the rains." Kind of scratches at his beard, although it has been dry all week.
Yep, we just pulled in just today. We came in with Xander. Do you know who Xander is?
He goes, "Oh yeah, I know who Xander is. Well known to those of us in town."
Is he a good guy?
He says, he reaches under the bar and grabs a
shotgun.
It's a little basket. And he puts the basket on the table in front of you and flips like a little cloth over it, and there's 3 chunks of fairly soft bread in it, and he says, he pushes them to you and says, "Yeah, we know Xander. Welcome to Baytown."
Oh, thanks.
Free bread.
Thanks for the bread.
And he goes back to cleaning the glasses and whatnot that he's working on. And actually, you see quite the collection of. Sorry, my chair is super squeaky and creaky. It's quite the collection of brass mugs behind the bar, hanging from little pegs.
What are those brass mugs for?
He looks at him and he says, "Finer spirits. That's what we're known for. Get a lot of trade through here, and we're able to get some pretty good deals to keep our clientele happy."
That's cool. So what's your name?
His name is Taran.
Yeah. How long have you lived here, Taran?
He says, "I grew up nearby, but I've been here for 25 years now."
Yeah. So, how long is the slow season?
Scratches his beard again. "Usually we don't see too much travel by the main roads from basically whatever the equivalent of March through May is when there's not as much trade. Winter is surprisingly busy-ish, and then it picks back up in late summer and into fall and all that."
So what do you guys do? Like, do you just have to save all your money so that you can get through the dry time, or?
Well, there's usually enough comings and goings of ships. Everyone
I
stops
feel
in
like that'd
Baytown.
be really stressful.
He says, "Oh, when it's busy, that can be a little rough too. Especially when the sailors come into port and think they're here to have a good time."
Why wouldn't they come here to have a good time? It seems like a lovely place.
"Yeah, but for them, work should maybe come first, and once they start breaking things or causing a ruckus, then it becomes a problem."
Yeah, I've been in trouble for that before.
Galeen through Meridian is the slow. And it picks back up in Gilgara. He says, "You guys enjoy your meal. Let me know if you need another drink." And he goes off to the other side of the bar to serve someone else.
Thank you.
It's pretty good soup.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of soup as well.
It's got the gaminess of duck in it.
Soup Nazi soup?
No.
Okay.
No soup for you 1 year.
Yeah, no, that's bad. How is I'll have a look around. See, but look around. There are other patrons, and what are they up to? What do they look like?
Yeah, there's like I said, a couple townsfolk. Mostly kind of just peasant dress. They seem to be eating the soup and have a flagon of ale as well. You imagine that probably
None
is
of them
like,
seem to be in any imminent danger.
Nothing is falling from the sky. No brigands are sneaking up on anyone.
No flaming holes opening in the ground. No
The
dragons
hero
trying to eat
Shae
anyone.
has once again protected this place. Seen her praises.
Well, we did it, Shae. You're a hero.
Awesome. Step 2, merchandise.
So there's probably 3 kind of townsfolky peasants. You imagine 2 of them look like they're kind of older folk, maybe too old to really do a lot of work. They get by and whatnot. And you imagine that they probably 1 silver is not a bad price, but probably not what everyone pays for real meals around. So townsfolk probably get deals or in turn do other work for things, get scraps and whatnot. There are maybe 5 better dressed people. 3 are sitting together. 2 are sitting together. And then actually 1 pretty well dressed man is sitting by himself. And I'm sorry, woman. And she doesn't look like a noble or like a wealthy merchant. She's not dressed. She's just dressed well, like impeccably, like prim and proper. She has kind of like pulled back and very tightly braided kind of silvery hair and angular features. And she's sitting very like posture up, and she seems to be sipping from a one of the brass mugs. The other 5 merchanty types or richer types look to just be they're wearing jewelry, they're wearing nice men of Renaissance type stuff. There's some soldiers here. You imagine off their duty. There's probably what look to be 5 Darum sailors. There's a few, maybe 3 other sailors or dockhand types. You see on the balcony up above there are 2 men who do seem to be wearing some sort of like gray like wool uniform, maybe slightly like heavier coat than would really be necessary, and they have red bands of cloth and stitching on their shoulders, which are like leather pauldron-esque, like layered leather plates, which you're pretty sure means that they are members of the Durnhost, which means that they're Durnhost military. And they have large flagons. Other interesting patrons, there is a dwarf in a tunic sitting at the other end of the bar. He's actually who's getting an ale now from the bartender. The Taran, bartender. Then there are. That's it. Sorry, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a quaint little place.
What the party doesn't know is I've based this entire thing off Twin Peaks. I haven't. I haven't done that. So,
Who do we hero today?
I bet whatever I bet that dwarf. I bet he's got money. I bet if he's got something for us to do, it'll pay well.
That's a pretty safe bet. At the very least, he has really nice shoes.
It's true.
You're judging a man by his shoes now? Well, dwarf by his shoes now?
Not necessarily judging, just admiring.
No, that's fair.
Assessing.
Assessing. Is that's what we're calling it now?
he's an
Assessing.
assassin.
Well, I mean, you can ask.
Okay. We'll go be a hero, Shae.
Oh boy.
Oh, so this is important. Shae, and I should ask this, and I meant to do this during the break as well. And we probably should have done it around the horn. What subclass did you choose at 3? Or I guess you can just tell me later. That's fine too. But
Subclass?
yeah, your Warlock 3. Don't you get your pact? Not your pact. Yeah, your
Yes.
pact boon.
Yeah.
So Bobby
I
gets
went
his
with-
at level 1. Adam will get his next time he levels up because he switched.
Yeah.
I went with Blade.
Blade. Okay, I figured. But all right, carry on. What are we doing?
Shae's
guess
gonna
I'll
go be a hero.
Propositioning the old dwarf.
I'll grab my... Yeah?
Go ahead.
I was gonna grab my drink, and I'm gonna walk over towards the dwarf. Hello, Mr. Dwarf.
He looks up. He's got his hair drawn back in a like a loose ponytail. Couple strands out here and there. It's gray with the remnants of black. You can see that he's got some soot on him. He smells a little bit like fired iron, which may or may not just be natural for a dwarf. He's got thick, calloused hands that are reasonably clean at the fingertips, but have some soot and whatnot. These are a worker's hand, someone who has worked with his hands a lot. He kind of studies your face for a moment, which is not necessarily terribly unusual. A, for a dwarf meeting someone for the first time, but also B, because you have an unusual face. There's always that moment of, especially someone that's close up to you, the more perceptive people will be like, oh, a human, not a human. Or human, but, oh, eyes, okay. And he says, hi, lass. What can I do for you?
Well, nice to meet you, first of all. Me and my friends are new in town here, and I'm gonna be honest here, we're kind of low on finances, so we're looking around town for a job, any job, really. And I hope that maybe we could do something for you.
He holds out his hand, flat. You've seen this once when your mentor was dealing with actually your mentor probably dealt with dwarves and gnomes quite a lot, actually. So you probably have some pretty good experience with dwarves and their culture. This is how a dwarf shakes hands with a lady. So you are to put your hand on his, rather than an actual handshake. So he holds it's kind of like the classic fairy tale or like olden way, like, oh, I'm gonna take your hand and kiss it, but you know he's not going to do that.
Okay. I'll smile and put my hand on his.
It's the idea is that you're supposed to do kind of a dainty, like, oh, thank you. And he says, I'm oh, I lost my spot. Sorry. I'm Roken Stoutkig. I run the smithy.
Smithy, okay.
What honor do I have of the lady's name?
Well, nice to meet you. I'm Shae Weston.
Weston. You're not from here. Or indeed anywhere from near here. He kind of looks at you and says, from the city.
Oh, you have a good eye, Master Dwarf. Indeed. This is actually my first time in a long while that I've really left the city on my own.
He says, what brings you west? You know that this is fairly typical of dwarves, especially dwarves who live among humans. There's two paths, right? So there's the path where they become more human-like and take on the, like, okay, well, some of the pomp and circumstance, humans don't live long enough for us to have conversations. Let's get to the fucking point. And then there's humans don't live long enough. Let's kill them with conversation, and then we can get what we want from the next generation. No, there's then the ones who kind of like purposefully maintain their culture and whatnot. And so it's typical for dwarves to ask questions or really get to know. So like you ask the question of, does he have work? And you know that he will probably eventually get to that question or to something else, but there's the process of getting to know one another, and you realize that perhaps, like if you had thought about it, maybe you jumped the gun a little bit and you could have fit better into the proceedings, but you never really know, like, is the dwarf going to be kind of proper, or is he going to just get to the point, right? So he asks you, what brings you west?
We traveled here with a man named Xantar, who's from around here. We
his eyes narrow a little bit, and he goes, "Ah, yes, I know, Mr. Dawes."
No, you probably know him better than I do. We just kind of happen to be travel companions. Mostly, I'm just looking for adventure, really.
Adventure?
Out in this...
And you came west?
Yes. Right? See the world?
Why not east? To the wildlands?
Well, maybe if I go far enough west, I'll get there eventually.
He laughs heartily at that. A great barrel-booming guffaw. Which means that he likes you, and you have earned your spot at the table.
Ooh. I'll sit down then.
I wasn't sure if you were sitting before, but yes, no, that's what that means.
Yeah.
He has held your hand this entire time. And so he gives you, like, it's a slight, like, okay, here, now, please sit. He now lets it go and brings his hand, so both his hands are around his tankard. His tankard appears to be iron-wrapped leather. Mm-hmm. Possibly something that he made or was made for him. It actually looks like a little keg with a handle.
Oh, cool.
But The he says, "So you're looking for work. How are you? Well, I presume not you, but maybe one of your companions." He says, "Pardon me, but perhaps not you." With tools. So I'm not sure I have much need for anyone outside of my forge. And right now we mostly just repairing farm equipment, preparing some horseshoes, getting ready for when the season starts up again.
I think I'm sure one of my companions would be able to be of some assistance there. They're always willing to help.
And that's how you never left the forge.
Well, I will. I mean, we've already established it's not going to be me. I'm just volunteering someone else.
So he says, I don't know, what kind of work are you good at, lass?
Mostly stuff involving bookkeeping. I'm pretty good at stuff like that. Though I like to prove myself as an adventurer as well, of course. Though, as you said, you may not have too much work for that.
His big bushy eyebrows. He says, an adventurer.
Yes. Isn't that why?
He looks at your hands, and he says, "Such a fine flower as yourself, out here in the wilds."
Well,
it's kind of out of question, I guess. Sorry.
You'll be surprised where you can find wildflowers blooming.
Should have been like, even the most beautiful flowers can be filled with deadly poison.
That's a bit cheesy even for me.
Yeah. Well, we talked about
that which
Batman
we call
and
a
Robin
thorn
earlier.
by any other rose name. Wait.
What?
No, never mind.
We'll cut that.
The dwarf says, "Well, I'm sorry, lass, but I don't know that there's any grand adventure to be had. My forge is even clear of rats. The last time I think any sort of grand adventure really happened in town. And you're not going to believe me, but..." He kind of looks around. And he says, "One night, about 60 years ago, right from the sky fell a star." And he raises his hand up, almost like swearing an oath, and he says, "On Gaima's forge," which is a dwarven expression meaning absolutely true, right? Or he swears to God. That's swear to God, right? Gaima being the forge father, the creator god. And even though Geld is one of the... Gaima and Geld are the main gods of the dwarves. Not in the Celestium, they are creator gods, so the other six. The major ones, quote-unquote. He says, fell right in, out in the Vannin farmlands. Which, when said correctly, is Vannin farmlands. Sorry. That's why I can't always do accents, because sometimes I just mumble. It was right before the season picked up, and merchants came by, bought it for quite some coin, and I heard they took it with them to the cities, somewhere in Brune or further, possibly Seraphis itself, and cracked it open, This great hunkin' rock. Cracked it open, and inside found metal so pure and so beautiful, kissed by the gods itself, that they made suits of armor and a sword fit for the kings.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It's important to note, when he says the kings, he would mean, because obviously there are no kings of Darum, and it would be weird if they took this and made it specifically for like the kings of Altara, or the king of Altara or Oleria. He most likely means the kings of Dwarven kind in their great underground citadels and mountain citadels.
Well, let's go find that.
We hear from the other side of the tavern.
He's got a giant listening horn.
Yeah.
It's like right next to you.
He pops out from under the table.
He's in your pouch.
Yeah.
It would have been fun to twist Halfling even more and be like fucking tiny. Like not even like a foot tall. Maybe a foot tall. Maybe a foot is right.
You think there's still some ore to be found in the farmlands there?
He laughs a little bit, he chuckles, and says, "Alas, what kind of dwarf would I be if I didn't scout every last inch of that?" He says, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of adventures to be had around here. Although, and he gets very stern for a moment, he says, "Lassie, the Briarwood is dangerous. Don't be thinking that it's just some forest full of wolves or, evil goblins to bring justice to. The Briarwood is dangerous."
All right. I'll be sure to keep that in mind. Thank you for the advice.
Oh, sorry. He's going to point kind of in the general direction of the church and say, "Many a young man and woman buried there who thought they were adventurers traveled into the Briarwood and were ill-prepared. Not every grave has a body."
That's tragic.
That
Thank you.
sounds scary.
Right? Let's go there.
Shh, don't let him hear you say that.
Fair point.
He says, "Bring over your friends. Let me meet your noble guardians." He means, more like your knight's protector or whatever, your meat shields.
Right. Yeah. There's meat shields.
And
He'll noble title.
He'll knock on the table on the wood, and Taran will look up, and the dwarf will signal with his hand 3, and Taran will bring you 3 fresh mugs of ale.
I'll smile and wave over Rin and Phen. Give a thumbs up, like we're onto something.
You're on your way.
Yeah.
And you'll see that Roken's cup is filled from a different small little like pony keg. This little wooden keg with iron bands around it. And Taran pours directly from that one into his. Yours are filled from the 3, or from the bigger like house kegs, which is of possible interest or note, I suppose.
Is that more expensive ale?
You're asking him?
Yeah.
This is Master Stout Keg's own ale.
Oh.
We keep it here for him.
That's cool. He brews his own. I love brewing.
And Roken, he just kind of nod through that, as if there's no explanation of that needed, as if it's not some sort of, possibly for humans it's a faux pas to serve a lesser drink to other people or to buy something for you get the impression you would not be able to pay for this.
Yeah, no,
which is part of it, but also possibly what you may or may not know about dwarves. You can be on very good terms with a dwarf and still not get offered their ale.
Yeah.
Also, it might kill you.
Yeah.
Because it's
cool.
It's basically like halfway between good ale and like whiskey. So to drink it in any amount would harm you. To drink it as if it were just beer. Well, although we're also talking. It's important to know we're not talking modern whiskey. We're talking, old whiskey. Yeah. He's like, pure grain alcohol. Lass, I wish I could actually see what you looked like. Blind as a bat.
Phen will go introduce himself.
He will extend his hand out to you, waiting for you to get up on one of the seats, or however you want to do that. And he'll grab you by the forearm. He'll reach past your hand for your forearm.
Okay. Oh, and like do the arm shake, not the hand shake.
Yeah.
Got it.
Dwarves shake hands with merchants and business partners. They clasp arms with warriors or fighters or military leaders, and they do the other thing for ladies.
Name's Phen.
He says, I'm Roken Stoutkeg.
Yeah?
Forge master here in Baytown.
Oh, really? What's the coolest thing you've ever made for somebody?
He chuckles a little bit. Before I moved here, I made many an armor and sword. Or axe. Many an armor and axe.
Yeah? Did you ever make him with magic?
He kind of waves his hand around. He says, "These gnarled hands are a smith's, not a wizard's."
Yeah. Did you ever have to have a wizard help you make something? I heard that happens sometimes, doesn't it?
He says, "The priests oversee the blessing of all that we make."
That's cool. So my dad, and I'll like pull my shield off of my back. My dad gave me this. See how it's blue and it's got the bird on it, and he's like holding it up like a little kid.
Oh, full stop. Sorry. It's hard to tell with that. The dwarf kind of nods and says, "A fine shield."
Yeah. I always thought it was magic, but probably isn't. Can you tell me if it's magic?
He says, "Lad, will it stop a blade?"
I don't know, probably.
"That's the only magic you need." Oh, lessons from Roken. Oh. That made me teary. He'll extend his hand past you again to Grim. The same warrior's grip. And say, because every dwarf is a trained soldier, most likely at some point. Not all of them, but mostly. Especially people who are smiths. They tend to know how to use their wares. They're not just artists or hobbyists on the weekends. The dwarves actually devote themselves pretty fully to a craft, either because they're told to or because they decide it's what they want to do, and then they devote everything to being the best that they can be at that thing. Typically to prove themselves to the gods.
So Shae here, she wants to be a hero. Where can we go to make her a hero?
Roken laughs a little bit and says,
Heroine?
well, I suppose that anywhere where there's some modicum of danger, there's a hero be needing. Here in town, the most dangerous thing are a couple of rowdy drunks. And usually me or the sheriff will handle that.
I thought you were going to say usually me or the sheriff or the rowdy drunks.
And if you say that out loud to him, he'll say, also that. Jaros can drink with the best of them.
Where? So... I'm out of ideas, guys.
Well,
he says, Taran. He's kind of like half laughing now. He's got new friends and having a good time. He says, "What sort of work do you have for some brave adventurers?" And Taran is cleaning his glass and stops and thinks. And he says, "Well, we are quite low on Olarian wine."
Where do you get that?
And he pauses and gives you a weird look and then says, "Wine from Olaria."
Oh.
And the dwarf beats the table, laughing.
I thought, like, Ilarian was a person. I suppose that all makes sense, but...
That sounds like a fun adventure.
You're just gonna bounce from fucking country to fucking country, just around, never stopping.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna find any adventure here, guys. We got a Smokey and Bandit back to get like a bottle of wine and a bowl of soup for this guy.
Well, you have to kill 4 turtles to get enough meat to make the soup. Providing RNG works for you. He says, you tell him about the woods yet? Scared him away? I don't think that's the right accent either, but I'm not going to be able to get back there, so it doesn't matter. Roken kind of grimaces and says, yeah, I told him.
So why are the woods so bad? Like what's in there?
Tarn kind of half spits to the side, more of a, like, not a, like, I've been chewing tobacco and I'm going to spit, or a, like, whatever, but more of like a, and nothing actually comes out, just kind of more just like a, bad juju, and, rather than being the symbol of the ward against evil or whatever it happens to be, kind of that. He says, the Briarwood is haunted. And Roken says, no, it ain't haunted. Why are all you humans always talking about the haunting? And this is clearly something that has exasperated the two of them in conversation, probably for the last 25 years. And the Briarwood is haunted by the souls of the war dead. And Roken says, the spirits are out there, but there's no shambling flesh.
Shambling.
So there are ghosts, though?
Didn't need to say it like that. Roken says, the spirits of the gone are everywhere.
Wait, ghosts are real?
Shambling flesh?
And Tarn will say, well, those woods are dark and they're reaching out for us because they envy the life we still have. That's why they're choking off the north.
Choking off the north?
Well, they're kind of, they separate. North
Shambling flesh?
Roken will lean back a little bit to look, because presumably Phen is between you and him now, on a stool that shouldn't be there, or he just kind of like scooted you onto another stool. He's on his shield, stretched between the two stools.
Yes.
The Roken will lean back and say, a lot of the townsfolk think there are ghosts and specters or zombies. Those killed in the war with the Dreadlands. That's why the thorns have gotten so bad in the recent decades. Grown and nurtured, fertilized by the dead. I estimate tens of thousands have lost their lives in the Briarwood. Cut down in petty squabbles.
Why don't you guys chop it down?
Rogan kind of leans back in and takes a swig and says, even all the king's guards couldn't have enough axe for that. The woods are dangerous. Aye. Haunted, no. Full of death.
What makes them dangerous? What have you seen anything in there?
Aye, lad. Ogres, briar tusks, monsters, big and small. Briar tusks are not a D&D creature. They are unique to this world. They are a cross between a saber-toothed cat and a very large, angry wild boar, like a big razorback. So they got kind of the build of the razorback and the big tusks, but they're very saber-toothed cattish in other regards.
Got big teeth. Well, I want to go see what's in them.
In the briar tusks?
Yeah,
guys, it's just intestines. Ooh, apples.
ooh, piece of candy.
Yeah.
You also wanted to see what was inside the box. We all decided that wasn't.
Yeah!
We should totally go back, guys.
We should totally go back and see what's inside that box. I bet that dude is so pissed we killed his horse.
Did it actually die, or did we just injure it?
Oh no, you obliterated it.
His horse got...
I listened to it yesterday. You obliterated it.
Okay, so are you going to suggest you want to see what's in the woods?
Well, I do, but it's probably a bad idea.
I mean, not all of the woods can be completely dangerous. There's probably
That's
an
true.
adventure, an area for 3 to 5, and an area for 8 to 10. Not a complete
Let's go to
asshole.
Westfall, guys.
How are you with a forge, by the way?
The Roken will say,
Me? Not good at all.
Roken, these tiny hands can't do anything. A barmaid will come up who you hadn't seen previously. She maybe was taking drinks to the guys upstairs, or making her rounds or whatever. Youngish woman. Maybe she's been listening to part of this, and she'll say, well, maybe the Fairy Queen will grant your wish of becoming a hero.
Fairy Queen?
And Tarn will go. He'll say, Mira, don't go filling their heads with tales of the Fairy Queen.
Wait, what's the Fairy Queen?
It's as real as any of your ghosts, Tarn.
Ghosts are totally real. What's the Fairy Queen?
Actually, I do want to hear about the Fairy Queen.
She'll put her little serving tray down, and she'll get very excited, and she'll say, they say that if you bring proper tribute, a gift worthy of her, to where she dwells out in the Briarwood, she will grant any wish you want.
That sounds amazing.
Do you have a map of how to get there?
Roken will say, it sounds like dark magic is what it sounds like.
All magic's pretty dark, in my opinion.
Cut from Shae.
I like to think that magic doesn't necessarily have to be dark.
Magic is as magic does. She'll say,
and the Briarwood is too dangerous for a little old girl like me. But they say if you're brave enough and you can make a tour and you have something worthwhile, she'll grant all your dreams. And Tarn will say, that's just a superstition about this land. They've been saying that for years. Stories go back to, treating with the fairies, getting good luck or finding fortune. But Baytown wasn't built on fairy magic.
Well, let's go find the fairy queen. Even if we don't have anything to give her, we can, maybe we can make a new friend.
I do think we should bring her something, though. Just in case she doesn't like it if we disturb her without bringing anything.
Mira will pick up her tray again, kind of bring it to her chest, and kind of twirl. And she'll be like, oh, can't you imagine it? Wouldn't it be amazing to see the Fairy Queen's castle?
What?
She's a queen. She's going to live in a castle, ain't she?
What do we have to bring her? What is she like? What should we bring her? What would you take her?
Me? I don't think I have anything that would be worthy of a fairy queen.
If you had anything that you... if you could bring her anything, what would you bring her?
I don't know. Maybe a nice red wooden box stolen from some noble in the room. I think you'd have to take her...
Let's go get the damn box!
I think you'd have to take her... treasure like the likes of what you and me have never seen. One of them fancy staves or magic rods that the merchants have all guarded up when they come through.
Like a Polaroid?
I don't know what that is, honey. That sounds made up, like the ghosts. Tarn says, the ghosts are real! It's your fairy queen that's made up.
Well, either way, we're going to see something really cool when we go in there.
I think we're going to die when you go in there. I mean, yeah, no, that's cool. She says, I bet it takes one powerful wizard or famous adventuring hero, some powerful knight or prince. I bet they could get what they wished for.
What would you wish for?
I'd wish for enough money to buy a beautiful sailing ship and a crew and sail around the world.
Oh. That's a good wish.
See all the famous places from all the stories.
You don't need a wish to do that.
What, you're going to buy her a boat?
No, she's just going to get... She can just... I'll find... There's lots of boats coming and going.
Yeah,
she's got to be willing to do a little work on a boat.
My family. They need me. Tarn will reach out and kind of put his hand on hers and kind of pat it and say, you do good work for your mother. And, Mira will kind of...
All your dreams, too, though.
Kind of look a little pouty. But she says, well, I best get back to serving the other folk. You guys have a nice stay in Baytown.
Thanks.
If you find any great stories, let me know. I always like to hear the stories
We're
of the
going to find a fairy queen.
We probably want to... If only we had some of that ore that was that dropped from the sky. I'm sure she would have liked that.
Oh, that's a good idea. You're a thinker.
Didn't even think about that. I mean, yes. What a great idea that I planned out perfectly. Do that.
So, where did you say that the farmlands were? Which farmlands were?
Well, I'd say that... Oh, no, this would be broken. Lass, you wrote it down, didn't you, when I said it? So clearly, all those words, just for you. No, he'll say, 60 years ago, it fell in the Vannen Farms. Vannen Farms is, 11.
We should totally go there and see what's up there.
Okay.
Get that ore. Get a wish. Make a new
And
friend.
then boom, you're a hero.
Just like that.